La edad es solo un número es una producción de la Alianza Hispana, con el generoso patrocinio de Next 50 Initiative, a quienes agradecemos profundamente por creer en esta visión de construir una sociedad más justa, inclusiva y sin prejuicios de edad. Bienvenido a La edad es solo un número. Hola a todos y a todas, muy buenas tardes o buenos días o buenas noches a la hora que estén viendo este podcast, este video podcast. Quiero agradecerles a todos por acompañarnos hasta este episodio. Es muy especial los mensajes y también que nos estén siguiendo en este espacio titulado La edad es solo un número. Nuevamente, mi nombre es Alberto Machuca y tengo el privilegio de compartir estas entrevistas y estos momentos tan especiales conociendo a personas que nos vienen a hablar de este tema. Así que el día de hoy voy a comenzar a hacer la entrevista en inglés porque tenemos una invitada muy especial. Su nombre es Allison y voy a dejar que ella nos comparta. Así que, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the La Alianza Hispana is making. The name of this podcast is La Edad es solo un número. And this podcast has the purpose of talking about aging and community and inclusion. So I am your host, Alberto Machuca, and today we are discussing the topic about, I think it's a timely and essential topic, it's the experience of LGBTQ older adults and how we can build communities where everyone can age safely, authentically, and with respect. So please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit more about you.
So my name is Allison Bauer. I am the director of the LGBTQ Aging Commission here in Massachusetts. I'm actually the first official director.
Okay.
The commission's been around since 2013. It was created as a special commission.
Okay.
2015, established commission. And it's been working with commissioners and support from Fenway Health, the Fenway Health Center, but not having a dedicated staff person, a full dedicated staff person until I started at the end of March.
Okay.
So I bring to the role a pretty broad range of experience. From a education perspective, I have a JD, a law degree, and an MSW, a social work degree. So I understand policies, but I like to think I also understand people. My background, yeah, it's a good combination, I think. My background here in Boston has been working in 3 distinct areas. I've worked in government. I was in the state legislature as a staff person for a health committee. I also ran a health bureau at the Department of Public Health.
Okay.
I've worked in philanthropy, so I was at the Boston Foundation for almost 10 years.
Okay.
Actually, that's when I got to know this organization, through my time at the Boston Foundation. And then I've also been an educator. I taught at Northeastern University full-time for 7 years.
Okay.
But I also taught as an adjunct professor at both Simmons and Boston College in their schools of social work. So I have these 3
You are
areas.
so busy.
I am very busy, yes. My family is very happy I'm in this role now, a dedicated, focused role. And it's also, for me, a bit of a culmination of a lifetime working in LGBTQ advocacy. Early in my career in Washington, I worked for an organization that advocated for equality for LGBTQ students in the K-12 schools.
Okay.
I also served on the board of directors of an organization called Family Equality, which advocated for gay families and support for families. Myself, I have my wife of legally 24 years, but even longer than that, obviously. We were able to get legally married here in Massachusetts in 2004. And I have 24-year-old twins, boy-girl twins. And so the protection of gay families has obviously been very personal for me. So I feel like I've worked from the start of creation of family to schools and now into the space of aging as I'm aging right into my own job.
How old are you?
I will actually be 60 next month.
Okay, 60, wow.
So I'm just on the edge of that next generation of, older adults.
Yeah. And maybe my question is, what inspired you to work in the field of aging and LGBTQ advocacy?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, as I explained, I had this broad history of working in LGBTQ advocacy. The idea that certainly once it was clear that this was my community, that there shouldn't be disadvantages. Disadvantages in terms of access to education, in healthcare, in housing, in all public services, free from discrimination, having the ability to find the joy in life just like everyone else. And then with aging, that was a space that I hadn't worked in previously. But ironically, I was in between two positions because I had gone to help my mom, who was aging and needed to move. She's in her mid-80s and needed to move out of her own home where she had lived with my father. My father's no longer alive, into an aging facility, into a community where she could be in her own space but have the support, independent, and then have other levels of care. And it struck me that all of a sudden, you said earlier, how old am I? It struck me all of a sudden, I was getting to that point where I was going to have to start thinking about what was going to happen when I got to the place where my mom was. Now, my mom doesn't identify as LGBTQ. She's married to a man for 60 years. She had great ease finding a community that was be welcoming of her. And I thought, well, everybody should have that.
Of course.
And I've worked around that issue of that welcoming and that inclusion for families with young children, for kids in the elementary school, middle school, and high school. Why not work in this space as well? To just when people, I think when you're aging, you become more vulnerable. And so just as you become more vulnerable, you want to make sure that you're not facing additional barriers.
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for all your work, your inspiration. I think, thinking in this question about what inspired you, I think family, love, community, protect the people that maybe had less, sometimes rights, sometimes this privilege that other people or other communities have. So what has been the most rewarding part of your work, for example?
So I've just started recently, but I would say that one of the pieces that stands out for me, one of the moments, the commission works statewide, and it's designed to identify the issues of need for the community and then work with the state around policies and programs that would support the community. But what we also do is we don't sit back and make those decisions by ourselves, right? We have 20 seats for commissioners. The commissioners come from a broad array of expertise. We have people who are from state agencies, people that are from elder care serving organizations, councils on aging, mass aging access. We have policy experts and legal experts and people who just represent various communities, like geographically, representatives from Western Mass, from Cape Cod, not just Boston. So we're trying to see everyone. And I'd say the two things that have been the most rewarding, one, the conversation with the commissioners. They've been serving, I've just come on, and in my first 2 months, I met one-on-one with each individual commissioner. And to learn about their interests and their passion and what they want to accomplish in their role is really rewarding. And then the second piece, we went to Northampton, to the senior center there, so Council on Aging, to host a listening session. Now, my understanding is that listening sessions have been done by the commission for many years. Obviously, this was my first one.
Yeah.
And to see the numbers of people that gathered in this senior center, the commitment of the center in providing services, but then individuals being really open and sharing their stories. What's it like to age in this community versus that community? So, you know, we're here in Boston, pretty vibrant gay community, very big, lots of services.
Yep.
Northampton has also got a pretty vibrant community. I actually learned a fact that Franklin County and some of the counties in the Pioneer Valley, percentage-wise, higher percentage of LGBTQ identified people than anywhere.
Okay.
Go figure. Northampton's known for being a welcoming community, and that's great. But then you hear a story from somebody who lives in a rural town, maybe 20, 30 minutes away, and it's a really different story. And it's, I don't know how to find friends who are going to be welcoming. I don't have the support, right? A lot of things that we take for granted in families where you've got a partner, you've got children, you've got extended families, they're there to support you, right? Just like I was there to support my mom. The generation of LGBTQ elders who are the generation older than me, right? There wasn't marriage. There wasn't family recognition. There were far fewer of that generation having children as, you know, becoming gay parents. And so what aging looks like for them can be isolating and lonely because they don't have the traditional supports that even my generation of gay identified community has. And so I think the rewarding part is hearing those stories, having the privilege of being witness to hearing them, and then thinking, oh wait, I have the opportunity to do something to help them.
Of course. No, and thank you for giving us this perspective. And maybe I would like to go deeper in what are some maybe unique experiences that LGBTQ older adults face as they age?
Yeah, I think that there's, you know, I think generationally it will change, but I think this generation, so if we're considering, like I try to consider the older adults to be older than me, because I'm not ready to be an older adult yet.
Okay.
AARP says I'm an older adult already, but I'm not really ready for that yet. But the generation, as I said, that's just older than me, they came of age in a time when they had to hide a little bit more because the laws weren't protective. They came of age in a time when HIV and AIDS didn't have treatments, and people were getting that, finding out they had that diagnosis, and they were dying. You know, then treatments came along. So they came of age in a time where they had to hide a bit. Then the world changed, and they started to have an opportunity to be much more open. And then as that became a little bit of a new normal, being open, finding community. But two things happened. One, you start to age regardless of what your identity is, whether you are LGBTQ aging, whether you're Latinx aging, whether you're Black American aging, whether you're Asian. I mean, I think different communities treat people who are elders differently.
That's true,
right? I always think of my friends and family friends who have Asian Americans. The elders often live with them. They don't disappear. But in general American culture, when you start to age, you start to become a little more invisible again. We don't do such a good job. I think different ethnicities do a better job. I think white Americans probably are among the worst at this, honestly. Are we looking at people who are older as knowledgeable people that we learn from, the wise people? But often what we do is we see them as somebody to look past. Their time is past. And I think the invisibility of aging and the current political climate
Exactly.
have taken this population of individuals, maybe in that 65 to 85 range, and they went from hidden to coming into a space of openness to feeling like they might have to hide again when they go to a senior center and somebody says, oh, do you have any programs for LGBT? Oh, no, we don't have anybody like that here. Well, of course you do. We're just hiding because we're afraid to tell you, So I think that's one of the big challenges is feeling like they have to hide again.
Yeah.
I think there's, again, that becomes social isolation. And that social isolation becomes a challenge not just for mental health, but even for physical health, right? Loneliness. There's research that says that social connectedness, not family even, but social connectedness, increases life expectancy.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
And this, talking about this tendency of hiding ourselves, becoming visible to the society, in this podcast we are trying to discuss how these stereotypes, negative and also ignorant stereotypes, affect the older adults. But I think today we are talking about two things at the same time. So what are some common stereotypes about aging that concern you the most? Talking about this LGBTQ
About
community.
aging in general or about this particular community?
Exactly.
The community.
The community.
So, I think the stereotypes are, one that there aren't LGBTQ people who are older.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much focus on
The younger
young
generation.
people and the younger generation. And that's great, don't get me wrong. We have a really vibrant youth commission that works with LGBTQ youth in the state, some wonderful organizations. We want gay families protected. We want youth in schools protected. But we don't want then to all of a sudden believe that once you hit a certain age, nobody is identifying in this community anymore.
Sure.
So I think that's a challenge to this idea that there aren't people there. The other challenge, I think, is that their lives are they're not seen in a health setting, for example, or in a housing setting, for the fullness that is their lives. So you go to a health provider and the health provider doesn't ask the right questions about what their health implications might be. I know it, for example, in Massachusetts, something like 50% of people with HIV are over 60. So if that's the case, we need to be asking those questions. We need to be asking even the questions about, are people partnered? Are they sexually active? Are they, right? And when we're asking that, we have to ask it not just with the traditional lens, but understanding that those relationships might look different than we can expect, right? And so all of those pieces, or even to think one of the things that comes up within the LGBT community is the concept of chosen family, right? A lot of people of that age group, as they were growing up, their families pushed them out. They weren't accepting. And so the community created its own family over here. It's my own family, chosen family, a family of friends who supported me. When you start to go and look at community organizations or services or healthcare, that chosen family isn't recognized as part of the family. And so you create community, but then that community isn't honored. So I think those are some of unique challenges that are faced.
And continue talking about family and relationships. How can families better support LGBTQ older relatives, for example?
Yeah, I think it's continuing to, if they have, honor and recognize their identity, ask about their partner, advocate on their behalf if they need services. So if something happens and you go to a hospital, now Massachusetts, we're very lucky. Massachusetts, because of marriage laws, we are among the best state, if not the best state in United States for LGBTQ people of all ages.
Yeah.
But if somebody's brought to the hospital, how could a family support them if the hospital says, oh, well, you know, you're the sibling, you can be here, but I don't know who that is. Have the sibling say, oh, that's their partner. And they need to be there. And in fact, you need to ask them what their thoughts are. I mean, not me, right? They're primary, I'm secondary. I mean, I think in part of my advice would be to the older adults is to put documentation in place, right? I'm married, so I'm lucky. And even so, do you have power of attorney? Do you have medical? How do you support them? But I think having families honor who they are and their relationships and speak up on their behalf,
Nice.
because they're a voice for them too.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, this is pretty powerful. I think I'm born in Mexico, for example. I moved to Boston like 15 years ago. So I know one part of my community, or Latino community, has some ideas, stereotypes, even sometimes the religion plays a, I don't know, another idea on how to treat the LGBTQ community or older adults. So I think that you say we have the privilege to become a voice for our older adults in general, especially for LGBTQ. So thank you for that advice. So what barriers do LGBTQ older adults encounter when, for example, talking about healthcare?
I mean, I think the barriers to healthcare is the physician. We talk about cultural competency, right? And I know this organization, La Alianza, is such a beautiful voice for the Latinx community in Boston.
Yep.
And you say, we need Spanish-speaking providers, we need translators if we don't have providers, we need people to understand the different challenges, or what is our diet food-wise. Don't try to say, don't eat this or don't eat that. Have an understanding of what the culture is. Do family members come to medical appointments with you? Because that's a cultural piece.
Yes.
Or do we have to, how do we treat this community? That's part of your mission.
Yes.
You provide a comfortable space here, but you want whatever services are out in the world to treat the community comfortably.
Yes.
So two things. One, the cultural competency that is important for ethnic culture is important for identity culture too. Yeah. So providers, challenges are having a provider who is going to ask the right questions, who's going to be open to whatever the answer is, who's going to know what the resource is, right? To say, oh, do you know that you can go to this health center, or that this doctor, or those, that kind of piece. And then the other piece is to recognize that identity is intersectional. And that just because someone comes in to an office and they are a Latino male, they're a Black female, they're, an Asian woman or a white male, any one of those people could be LGBTQ also.
Yeah.
Right?
Is the intersection there?
Because there's intersection. It doesn't just fit into one box. People have multiple identities. And so the challenge of being seen with cultural competency for all of the identities in healthcare, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not going to be able to give good health advice if you don't understand the complexity of the identity.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, even as a man, I always try to ask to my wife, okay, what is your opinion? What is your perspective? Because I know that since my own rights or identity experience, I never would to understand completely the other side. So having this curiosity.
I was just going to say that, the idea of being curious and open and asking questions. Yeah. I know there's a great television show people love, Ted Lasso.
Oh yeah.
Right? About the football coach who goes And one of the lines he uses all the time is this idea of being curious and not judgmental.
Yes.
Don't make an assumption,
Yes.
ask a question.
Yeah.
And that's a really great way to get past a barrier.
No, it's true. No, thank you for that. And I know that you mentioned before that you are in this position like a 1 year or?
No, just about 3 months.
3 months,
Only
okay.
3 months, very
Okay.
short. Very short. I just started. Yeah,
Okay.
no, I just started. Yeah.
So what progress in your perspective, I know that you started 3 months ago, but you have a lot of experience
Yeah.
with your family, your own life. So what progress have you seen in the last decade regarding the LGBTQ?
I can definitely share. So one, obviously the commission has been around in an established commission now for a little over a decade.
Okay.
And I think there have been a number of pieces of progress that are really important. I mean, just the establishment of the commission alone,
No, of course.
that's huge.
Of course.
The LGBT Youth Commission, which was started as the Gay and Lesbian Youth, Governor's Commission on Gay and Lesbian Youth, started back in the early 1990s. This was about 2013, so this was almost 20 years later.
Wow.
So that gives you an insight a little bit into where the focus was.
Yeah.
So just the establishment of the commission alone is progress.
Of course.
In 2018, there was legislation passed here in Massachusetts that required training for aging service providers. So that kind of training, which has been done by the commission's partner, the LGBTQ Aging Project, huge. The fact that someone would be walking into a role and they would have to be trained on understanding that as you're coming into this role, as you're going to be serving an aging community in this agency, some of those people are going to be gay.
Yeah.
Some of them are going to be in this community.
Yeah.
And here's the language you can use, and here's understanding culture that you can use, and here's what you can do to make them feel comfortable.
Yep.
So I think that 2018 law was a big one.
Yep.
And then there was in 2024, kind of a healthcare bill of rights for those same community. So there's been legislation that has been put in place that has advanced both the knowledge of service providers, but also has put some rights in place for individuals. So in case things don't go well,
Yep.
there's some opportunity to say, hey, we need to fix this. So I'd say those were two major advances.
Yep.
I think we'd like to see more, obviously.
And on the other hand, what challenges still need to be addressed?
I think housing is always a challenge. I think housing in an expensive housing market is a challenge.
Yeah.
Here in Boston, there's something called the Pride, which is an LGBTQ-centered specific housing community.
Okay.
And it's, I think it's down in Hyde Park.
Okay.
And we went out to Western Mass to that
Oh,
listening.
it's true. Yeah.
you
The
know
other
it?
day I was
You know it?
driving.
It's probably not far from where you where you
where I
live.
live.
And we went out to Western Mass, and everybody in Northampton was saying, "Can you bring that out here? We want that out here. We want to know there's a place where we can go, where when we move in, it's a big hug, that everybody's going to be supportive." So I think housing can be a real challenge. It can be a challenge. And I do think, again, for individuals not in a major community, a Boston, a Cambridge, a Somerville, a Northampton, Provincetown even, in other communities, there is significant isolation if you're not in one of the big hubs.
Yeah.
And we need to figure out what are the tools that we can use so that those service providers can be out in the community. They can create venues to get people. I mean, because one of the hardest things when you get older is transportation. Once you stop being able to drive,
Yep.
it's harder to get around. Well, that's not too tough if you live in Boston or Brookline and you live in, even West Roxbury or JP, you can get somewhere.
Yep.
But even though, we often see as Provincetown is this community, is very, but what if you're in a small community on Cape Cod? Then you're not getting there. There's no train that runs there. And so I think the idea of creating housing, creating, and I don't know that it's the commission's, it's not really our role to do that, because we're not going to create transportation or housing, but can we lift up the issue? Can we advocate to the legislators? Can we say, well, here is LGBTQ senior housing organization, and they've created this, and can we put that entity in touch with that entity to help to, create connection? Can we advocate for resources? Can we partner with organizations? I think that's a big piece too. We want to partner with, for example, if the Mass Public Health Alliance is advocating for better transportation, well, we're on board with that, because transportation that helps all elders, all seniors, helps our seniors. We want to advocate for more funding for, housing. Well, that of course helps everybody. So I think that it's not just that the commission exists to address the needs of LGBTQ elders. It's that we are also there to be supportive of advocacy for elders.
Exactly.
Writ large, because we know that our community is part of that.
Of course, of course. And how can our listeners, our viewers, learn more about the Massachusetts Commission and get involved?
So the commission itself holds quarterly meetings. You have to register on Zoom, but they're open to anybody to attend.
Oh, okay, it's open.
So I can share some information with you that you can post as with part of this. People can attend those meetings.
Okay.
When we do a listening session in community, you don't have to be an LGBTQ elder to come to the listening session. You can be a family member, you can be a friend.
And I think this is a beautiful experience, an opportunity to connect, to understand more.
Exactly. You come and you can come and listen as the commission's listening and learn about your neighbors, right? There are organizations within the Latinx community that serve the LGBTQ population. Connect with them and figure out, are they doing an event? Can you support those organizations? I think just self-education and knowing that when you look around, whether it's the Mexican community in Boston, whether it's the Puerto Rican community, huge community in the South End, obviously, with Via Victoria, beautiful communities, that within those communities, there are probably people who also identify as LGBTQ. And what can you do to, say, make it a welcoming space? How can you learn and make it a welcoming space for individuals? To not make the assumption, oh, there's nobody like that here, right? We're recording, and I know this is a beautiful facility, and you have a beautiful rooms, a big room where you hold events for people. Do we think that maybe some people who are coming to those events may be part of that community? How can you have a physical display that tells somebody they're welcome? I went to visit a senior housing, seniors rehab and assisted living community. And I went to one out on the Cape, and then I've been to the one that my mom is in. And the first thing I noticed when I walked into the one that my mom was in is there's rainbow flags. And it says, we are a welcoming community. Now, I don't know how many people of the 350 who live there that is going to matter to. But if it matters for one person when they're coming in to look and saying, am I going to be comfortable here? So that physical sign, that physical demonstration of, I want you to know this space is a space you can feel comfortable in. That's a really huge, I think a huge difference maker. And even for my mom, she doesn't identify that way, but she knows that that's part of her own family.
Of course.
So she knows that her going there, we as her family will be supported as we come to see her.
And what advice would you give someone, for example, who is entering to the older adulthood in general?
I mean, I think in general, there are a few things, because I told you I'm trained as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Legal issues always pop for me. Making sure that they have legal documents in place,
Okay.
that they have their will in place, that they have their power of attorney. If they want someone to be their voice, if they don't have a spouse, or if maybe the person they were with, their partner, is no longer around, identifying who you want to speak for you, to be your voice, someone you trust.
Yeah.
Having that in paper, I think that's a pretty important piece
thank
as
you
you
for
get
that.
older.
Thank you for telling that. Yeah.
Because that's so huge.
Yes.
And that's just not the gay community, that's anyone getting
Anyone.
older,
Yeah.
right? Do you have your paperwork in place so if something happens, people know what to do?
Yeah, and sometimes we don't do that because we thought, oh no, I have time, or if I start doing this, maybe I am starting to thinking that I'm going to die soon. So it's like many.
Oh, there are so many reasons not. People come up with lots of excuses not
Yeah.
to do it. And even if they have a supportive family, they don't want to talk about it because when you're with your family, you're with your family at the holidays. Let's get together for a holiday and talk about what happens if I'm coming close to death. That doesn't feel like a great, So I
Exactly,
think
a
it's
great
like trying to think about it sooner so that just so you know you have it in place.
Yes.
I think those are important pieces. I think looking for the organizations and the communities that provide support for them where they live, I think that's really important. And if they know, and again, if we're talking about an older adult, let's say they're LGBTQ, they're Latinx, coming to a place like here and saying, do you support this community? What do you do for this? I don't know, do you say, oh look, there's an organization that they march in the Pride Parade. Maybe that means they're supportive of the community. Maybe they're doing a podcast on Pride Month talking about this community.
Yep.
That's something, Start looking for the supports before you get there.
Yeah.
And putting those pieces in place. But then also figuring out ways to stay active. I think that, the idea that people get older and then that means, it means slow. It means not having energy to do anything more. It means, there are lots of great activities that are out there. Finding ways to do that, to stay healthy and find the right individuals who are going to be supportive.
No, thank you. I think those are pretty amazing advices, even for me, because I think the legal part, putting all in order, your life, being active. So I want to express this invitation again. Please watch all the episodes that we have because we had the opportunity to talk with people that are runners or artists, creators in their 80s, 85. So, for you, this is almost my last question.
Yeah.
What does the phrase "age is just a number" mean to you?
I love that phrase so much. Age is just a number, to me, is that number says how many years you've been on Earth. It tells you nothing else about the richness that someone brings to the world, the energy that they have and that they contribute to others' lives and to their community, to their interests, to what they can do that creates greater energy and passion in the world. I think about the fact that, again, my family, my wife and I, having children, she gave birth to our twins in 2002, we could do that because of what people did before us to create that space.
Yeah.
And if in 2002 we looked at somebody who was older and said, well, they're just an older person, but really they were an advocate that created some space, that created a different space that we could move into and our lives could be richer for. So age is just a number, is just that. It's the number of years you've been alive, but it doesn't come close to capturing the richness that somebody brings into the world.
Of course, of course. No, thank you. This is beautiful. And I think for me, something that I would like to take is become an advocate. Because sometimes we just living our lives thinking in ourselves and our own needs. I think it's important. But creating this space and having these conversations is like the invitation is open our mind, have the opportunity to learn more from other communities, other identities. So in order to say goodbye, do you want to share something with the public, with the young people, older adults?
I mean, with everyone, you've said this earlier, and I would say, be curious, be open, read about communities you don't know about, learn about the communities you don't know about, and recognize that those communities are your community. They're not different from you. It's not like, oh, that LGBTQ aging community is over here and I'm over here, because we all have these shared identities. And not only is it important to learn about the community, to be able to be supportive of the community, but it's not a community that's separate from us, because it's part of the larger La Alianza community. It's part of the larger Boston community. It's part of the larger Massachusetts community. And the reason why our state has done so well in terms of education and healthcare, in terms of providing support, is because people do care and are committed. And I think if we have to just keep doing that.
Oh, perfect. Allison, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation. Gracias. Sharing your expertise, your personal experience, even your life, your vision, your work. So to our listeners, viewers, aging is just a number, I think it's, as you said. And it's a journey that we want to invite you to also walk together with other communities, learn from each other. So the more we understand one another's experiences, we are going to become stronger and with more compassion. And I think our community is going to be a beautiful and safe space for everyone. So thank you again. Gracias a todos por habernos acompañado hasta este momento. Por favor, si este espacio ha sido, y esta conversación ha sido de bienestar, te ha dejado ideas interesantes o consideras que alguien que tú conoces puede ser de ayuda a esta conversación, compártelo, síguenos, queremos seguir creando más episodios que puedan seguir ayudándonos, así que manda tus preguntas, también pon like, sabes que es importante para este momento en redes sociales, y gracias, nos vemos en otro episodio. Thank you so much. Gracias, Allison.
Gracias.
Hasta luego. Bye bye.